10 minutes.
Thanks, Chair. Mr Goggin, on page 26 of BOI document B2.
Hold on one tick now.
It was November the 11th.
Oh, sorry, Debbie. B2,
I'm just giving the November.
Which page?
Page 26. I'm just making sure the guys have it. November the 11th, 2003. In a paper prepared for the Board, the Quarterly Risk Review points out that there was a shortage of frontline credit skills evident at branch BRM level, and the number of commercial branches rated unsatisfactory has increased to 9. Relationship managers continue to be under pressure due to portfolio size, quality of support and inadequate credit skills. There's more than that, but Mr Goggin, what observation would you make? That was in 2003. That observation was made to the Board of Bank of Ireland, the Court of Bank of Ireland. Yep.
It was previously discussed at the Group Risk Policy Committee. So this was an escalation up of the Group Risk Policy Committee's examination of it. Yeah, this was a very serious matter. And I think it goes to the heart of the governance structures in Bank of Ireland. You've got a distributed network with 300 branches or 250 branches. The normal distribution applies. Some of them will perform and conform, superbly well. The majority of them will be standard, and you will have, a number that will not meet the standard at a point in time. This was identified through the credit review process. It was the third leg of the 3 legs of the fence in lending in Bank of Ireland. So this was identified, it was escalated, it was taken most seriously. And there are papers somewhere, because I read them, in relation to how the GRPC, the Group Risk Policy Committee, view this, and the direction it gave to the head of retail banking at the time in terms of resolving these issues. And I know there's a paper somewhere else, I haven't got it cross-referenced, but I know that in a period post this, there was a very positive updating report on the success in addressing some of these issues. This would have been quite a normal escalation of an issue, taken most seriously and escalated right to the very top of the organisation.
Thank you. On Bank of Ireland Book 1, page 13, running into page 14. A court minute extract of the 7th of July 2008, in which you, Mr Goggin, assured the court that you keep in regular contact with the financial regulator and you express confidence that the regulator has contingency plans in place, bracket, which would be likely to require the group to play a part, close bracket, should another entity appear likely to fail. In subsequent discussion, Mr Goggin confirmed he could not envisage any circumstance where Bank of Ireland's equity would be put at risk in helping to prevent the collapse of a competitor. What were those contingency plans that you speak of with the regulator, and where did they surface subsequent to that, if indeed they did?
It's a good question. I read this and I have it marked in my own papers.
Yes.
And I asked myself the very same question in preparing for my evidence here today. This was an opinion that I expressed. I didn't have any hard information to support the view, other than I was spending quite a considerable period of time, week in, week out, from late 2007 right through to 2008, at meetings with the central bank and financial regulator.
Did you express confidence, in fairness, Mr Goggin? You expressed confidence that the regulator had a contingency plan.
I did. Well, I mean,
that was an opinion you're saying.
Sorry, David.
Thank you.
If you had been to as many meetings as I had been to, if you had been interrogated to the extent I was by the authorities in terms of the emerging liquidity position in the markets, in Bank of Ireland, these were extremely detailed questions, the kind of questions you would expect of a regulator or a central bank. I could only conclude from those and the information that we were more than happy to present that a contingency plan was being developed.
But you never saw one?
No, I did not, no.
And you never asked for one?
Well, I didn't, but had I asked for it, they wouldn't have given it to me.
Did one appear on the night of the guarantee at any point in the conversation?
No.
Do you believe there was one in place?
I can't truthfully answer that question, Senator. One would hope there was, and I guess it's a matter that you'll pursue with the official side when you get to speak with them. But I couldn't say for certain.
On the morning of the night of the guarantee, had you been advised by that point that DEPFA and Fortis banks were in trouble?
We'd have been generally aware. Was there an intervention on the morning of the 29th by the authorities on those banks? If there was, I certainly would have been aware of that, yeah.
But you don't remember being informed by anybody in particular, say by the Department of Finance or the Central Bank?
No,
at that meeting you had at the Central Bank?
No. If I had been informed, it would have been by my own team.
Okay. Did you meet with a representative of Anglo-Irish Bank at lunchtime on the Monday? On
Monday the 29th?
Yes.
No, I met with two representatives of Anglo-Irish Bank at 2:30 p.m. that afternoon.
For what reason?
When I returned from Dame Street, I mentioned in my evidence earlier on that I had a meeting in Dame Street with Central Bank. I got back to my office around 12:30. The governor of the bank, Richard Burrows, came in to me and said there was a request in from the chairman of Anglo-Irish Bank for an urgent meeting. He was not aware of what the meeting was for, but I guess given the turmoil that was prevailing, it was in all reasonableness to do with that. We agreed to the meeting as a matter of courtesy, and we set the meeting for 2:30 p.m. that afternoon on the 29th of September. Both the chairman and the chief executive of Anglo-Irish Bank came to Bank of Ireland, Baggot Street, for that meeting. They indicated to us, or mentioned to us, that they had a liability maturing the following day, i.e. the 30th, in the amount of, I think it was $1.5 billion, it could have been $2 billion, it was of that magnitude, I can't remember precisely, and that they would be unable to honour the commitment. They then asked for Bank of Ireland to acquire Anglo-Irish Bank.
And what did you say?
Well, we had absolutely no interest in acquiring Anglo-Irish Bank, and we politely told them that we could not be of assistance.
At all? You didn't offer any assistance?
No, none.
Did they leave at that point?
They did.
Okay. When you went to government buildings later that night, did you, when you were talking in your first round of meetings with the Taoiseach and the advisors and the minister, did you say, look, we've had them in, guys, we had this meeting, they've asked us to...
Yeah, absolutely.
You did.
And the Governor of the Bank of Ireland would have shared that information with the Governor of the Central Bank at the pre-arranged 4 p.m. meeting later on that afternoon on the 29th.
Okay, so
I mentioned that in my evidence earlier on.
Yes, so everybody in the room knew. Everybody knew that Anglo had knocked on your door earlier that day.
Yeah.
And AIB also had a call. Did you recall whether that happened? Whether there was mention made of that as well?
Yes. Let me just think about that. Yeah, when the chairman and chief executive of Anglo were leaving us on the afternoon 29, they indicated to us, from my recollection, that they were going to see AIB. I subsequently learned later on that evening that AIB had refused to meet them. So the meeting, as I understand it, never occurred.
So let's just be clear. This was a huge day. It was the worst day of your life, I think you've said. You two banks were obviously under extreme pressure. You had been for quite a while. You asked for a meeting with the government, yes. I think you said yourself, to make sure they were informed of the level of the danger.
Yes.
And you arrived there with no documents to give them. Just let's be completely clear. You had nothing to give them.
I didn't need to have any documents, Senator, with respect to give them. The issue was very clear. A major bank was going to collapse the following day. I didn't need to produce any documentary evidence. I didn't receive any evidence in the meeting earlier in the afternoon from Anglo-Irish Bank. It was an oral conversation. There were no papers. Okay.
On page 21 of document BOI-C3B, again...
Hold on, sorry.
Yep.
C3B, page...
Page 21, again this refers... It's a note after the one that you already discussed about the committee. You say, RB, I assume Richard Burrows...
So where are you?
AOB, last sentence. RB stated that the group should make the point whenever possible that it did not request the guarantee and did not require it. What is that about? That was on the 29th of September 2008 at the group liquidity meeting which you attended. And that would have been obviously prior to going to government buildings. What's that about? I think you've said that you did need a guarantee. Why did you go to government buildings if it wasn't for?
Well, I think I explained that. I think I've already explained that. I'm just trying to collect my thoughts here in relation to your first question. Yeah, no, the RB in this case is not Richard Burrows.
It's Richie Boucher, is it?
Correct.
Yeah. Anyway, he said. Well, I'm trying to just wait.
Sure, you have indeed.
Yep. Yeah. Please. So your response is?
Your question is?
I'm asking you why was that said, that we did not request the guarantee and did not require it. Why then did you go to government buildings? What was your concern if it wasn't to ask for a guarantee?
My concern in going to government buildings was in relation to one specific issue, i.e. a major bank was going to default the following day. The issue of a guarantee was proposed as a possible solution in terms of trying to help the government deal with the issue. The point that's been made here, as I interpret it, is that Bank of Ireland, in isolation, absent any other issues in the marketplace, did not require a guarantee. So it was the imminent collapse of Anglo and the mechanism around providing stability to the banking system required all of the banks to need a guarantee, to be quite honest about it.
Okay, so let me just be clear, Chair. So while AIB did ask for a guarantee, you did not.
I think we're splitting hairs.
I don't think we are, Mr. Goggin.
We're not. We all asked for a guarantee. We both asked for a guarantee.
Well, then why is the statement here that wherever possible it did not request a guarantee and did not require it? I don't understand. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just don't understand. I don't understand why hours before you went to government building, in your own minutes, it says we're not going to be asking for it and we mustn't mention it. And then when you got there, you asked for it.
Well, no, we asked for it in a certain context.
Yes,
look, Senator, look. You couldn't guarantee. I think I mentioned to Deputy McGrath earlier on. At one stage during the evening, in the early part of the evening, there was a suggestion that one bank be guaranteed. The one bank being Anglo-Irish Bank. Now, picture the scene. Anglo-Irish Bank gets guaranteed. Nobody else is guaranteed. Where do you think all the deposits are going to end up the next day? They're all going to be down in Stephen's Green. The rest of the banking system is in chaos. So, in asking for a guarantee, it was in the context of the totality. I think the reference here, I can't be certain, was in relation to the fact that Bank of Ireland on its own wouldn't have needed a guarantee. Look, the bottom line is we did need a guarantee, if that answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.